coordinate with the mandated institutions in the fight against corruption, and that's why the Deputy IGG is with me here. We have been coordinating very cordially, very closely. When we receive complaints, very many that we have received, on average we receive over 250 by voice through the many helplines His Excellency the President put in place. And we share these responsibilities with the IGG, with the Director of Criminal Investigations. Those we work closely with police, because we do not investigate as anti-corruption unit. All our investigations are laid and done by police. Auditor General has been helping us do the auditing work of the government agencies and institutions, the PPDA, the Financial Intelligence Authority, and through all that we have done in this coming to a year, just we are remaining with 6 days to get to our anniversary on the 10th. The DPP has prosecuted 111 persons. 100 are public officials, 11 are private persons, and we have seen good order because of the cooperation we have with these constitutionally mandated agencies. And we have been able to recover over 700 million that has gone back to the government accounts, again through the DPP, the DPP's office. We have registered some success because of the coordination with the other anti-corruption agencies, and also working hand in hand with the courts. Again, we were supposed to coordinate, and so we have coordinated, but we also get good guidance from His Excellency the President, because our main work, we coordinate the citizens. When they complain, we receive their complaints, and we share with other constitutionally mandated agencies who investigate, and the DPP prosecutes, and courts have handled. And that's why we have some convictions already. 9 people have been convicted, and they will not serve government for the next 10 years. The 98 officials that were found in corruption-related activities, they have all been interdicted. There have been good slides because of the cooperation.
Well, I find that within just a space of not less than, less than 12 months.
Yes,
that is something good. Now let me bring in Mr. George Bamgemerera, who's the Deputy Inspector General of Government. The fight against graft in the country, yes, it's been on for some time, but the community, I would say, there feels like it's not going properly. Why is it still with us?
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe let me say this. Corruption is largely a covert activity because it's basically theft. And when people are stealing, it is rare, apart from the pickpockets we see, but even those who steal openly actually run as soon as they commit theft. So it's one of those offenses that is committed in private and secretly, and in the hope that the offender will not be caught. So it is a covert crime. Number 2, we are grappling with a global phenomenon. Corruption is a problem all over the world, and the more advanced, the more sophisticated the crime becomes. Number 3, there is increased awareness. In fact, part of the success of the anti-corruption fight is that there is more awareness of what corruption is, manifestations of corruption, the impact of corruption in the country, and obviously the various platforms that are now available for people to express themselves. The combination of all these factors probably gives the impression that the corruption problem is getting worse. But let me tell you, there are a lot of measures that have been put in place that are actually having effect in the fight against corruption. Just take a random example. This IFMS,
yes,
which is the electronic payment system of the government. You know, just the factor of taking away the human involvement in the payment system has actually narrowed the space within which public officers can steal. They still steal, but the space within which a public officer...
It has narrowed.
It has narrowed, yeah. In the past, Fridays were the typical days for the thieves, public officers, to take money. They all line up at Bank of Uganda, then cashiers bring baskets of money and then start distributing. You take this, you take that, you take... Now, that is not possible because the payment system is actually electronic.
Yes.
You don't see the money. Actually, the person who receives the money is the supplier who will receive it in their private account.
Oh, yes.
So what you're basically seeing is that the channel, I mean, the space has narrowed, and therefore the form has also changed. So what are we seeing now? Is that the government official who wants to steal money needs to talk to a number of people before they can actually take the money. You need to be involved in the design. You have to know who is your supplier is going to be. You need to know how much the supplier should ask, should quote, so that you negotiate your cut. And then when the supplier receives the money, you also have to be shameless to go through the humiliation of going to your supplier and saying, by the way, give me some of that money. So you can see that, one, there is a complexity, more complexity, that people now have to think very hard how to steal. But actually, the space within which they can steal has now
really
reduced. But it has also triggered new complexities in the fight against corruption.
Yes.
So, because as people undertake these, the risk of stealing now, they also tend to steal bigger amounts.
Exactly.
Because it's more difficult to steal solo. You now have to build a syndicate and take your chances that if I need to speak to 5 people in order to steal, none of them will break ranks and become a whistleblower and so on. So I think the fight against corruption is actually improving, although the complexity is also growing much more.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bamgemerere. Of course, that is, indeed, you bring out something very, very pertinent, and that is the more the battle goes to them, they also get to design new ways of stealing. Afande, let me come back to you a little bit, and of course, what has been achieved within this very short time is really commendable. But of course, it does not just come like that. There must be, the partners that you work with. How is the partnership with the community going? Are you getting positive feedback, for example, when they get corruption-related cases?
That has been our strength, and that's why we have had this idea of mobilizing for His Excellency, who sent us to mobilize the public to join the fight. We have been to 27 districts in this 1 year. We've been to all regions of this country, and wherever we've been, we have been received by the public, the local people, with all enthusiasm to say we have not been listened to properly. Of course, they have the motivation that we have been sent by the president to hear to hear what is paining them, what is hurting them. So wherever we've been, we have had crowds. So people gather and they tell us what happens there. That's why the many districts we've been, the CAOs, the town clerks, some mayors, they haven't found it very easy. We have had 13 of them in courts of law, and they are interdicted because we get information from the affected communities, and so there is every reason for police to investigate quickly and take them to the DPP for prosecution. So our strength has been from the public, and that's why we have this call now for every Ugandan to join the fight.
Thank you so much, Afande. And those of you just joining us, this is a special show here on UBC TV, and we are looking at tomorrow's anti-corruption walk. That, of course, will be joined by the chief walk, and that is His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and of course, so many other government leaders will be there in the studio. I'm with Lieutenant Colonel Edith Nakalema, who is the head of the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, but also in the studio I'm with Mr. Bamgemerere George, who is the Deputy Inspector General of Government. Let me go back to Mr. Bamgemerere a little bit. Now, yes, in as much as these mechanisms are in place to ensure that graft is fought in the country, however, we still hear so-and-so has stolen money, and we just hear, we don't hear that maybe they have been arrested. Some people ask themselves, is it the law that is lacking somehow? Why do we still have these people walking sport-free?
Yeah, I think it really takes us back to where we started, that there's complexity. But there's also a difference in methodology. Our style is slightly different from the anti-corruption unit. Because the anti-corruption unit typically have their methods. One, I think in their design, they have designed systems which make them, they work a lot with the police. And I think in their philosophy, they believe that they should also be a quick response unit. So something happens, they go in quickly and turn it around. And when they are, I don't know what percentage, maybe Lieutenant Colonel Nakalema can tell, when they are 50%, 40% certain that something has happened, you are whisked to court quickly. Our style is slightly different, and we probably need to have elements of that style. Maybe we need to create a unit as well, an anti-corruption unit, which is a sting, which has a sting
we
approach.
Yes,
probably, yeah. It's something that we probably need to pick. Our style in the Inspectorate of Government is basically when we investigate, we usually prefer to investigate to a level where we have 80-90% certainty that we shall secure a conviction when a person is taken to court. Now, the advantage with that approach is that in almost all the cases that we take to court end up in a conviction.
Okay.
Which is good for us. On the flip side, though, it just means that one, some cases lose momentum because it takes longer. The standard of proof in criminal cases is very high. Offenses have ingredients which must be proved beyond reasonable doubt. So the whole process of from the stage of detection to prosecution may take a bit longer, because in between we undertake several reviews of the evidence, and if there's any gap, we go back and so on. So I think in the process we sometimes lose time, but it's something that we can address, because it's important that we turn around cases quickly. There are a lot of matters that require a quick response. So what we see is that these approaches are actually complementary in a way. There are matters that require urgency. There are cases that require shutting down everything so that we focus on them. Particularly if they are high impact cases, there is a place for basically shutting down and say, let's prioritize our cases and say, this matter is of such great importance that we should probably mobilize all the resources and focus on the matter and turn it around quickly. But indeed, we found something else that actually has driven probably our speed down. The close connection between the ombudsman function and corruption. That a lot of the corruption that is reported is actually opportunistic corruption. Corruption resulting from poor, actually maladministration. Corruption resulting from poor supervision. You know, a lot of these bridges that you see giving way and so on, it's because government has released money, entrusted a task to a public officer. Public officer has accepted the task, but is actually unable to ensure enforced implementation of the project according to the prescription. So we found that a lot of the graft that happens is not large-scale graft. Although yes, at the time it is discovered, it may have turned out as a big loss. But many of the thieves in Uganda don't believe they are stealing. They think they are borrowing money. So he has a project money which has been given. The person who's given him the money is not asking him, because supervision is actually a very simple process. It's a few words of asking somebody below you, say, how far have you gone with the task I gave you? That is supervision. If you make it regular and say, you've given me a task, and every week, you say once every week, I just want to spend 3 minutes with you, where you tell me how far you've gone. And if you have a challenge or bottleneck, let me know, which requires my intervention. Let me know so that I intervene. So that art of supervision in the country is actually not very strong. And it is resulting in avoidable losses. So I think if we fix maladministration, you find that the number of complaints that will be coming to our agencies will go down. And when they go down, it means that we can then focus on the bigger, higher impact case, which probably the citizen doesn't think much about. Take an example of a road. You know, a citizen, when they have a good road, is actually very good for business, but when you don't have a very good road, maybe many citizens don't care. Yet if a parent does not have school fees for the child, doesn't have money for food, to them the pain of having no money for food is so much worse than the pain of a road which they believe belongs to the state. So we need to focus on if we can deal with the small things by strengthening our supervision, addressing maladministration, we could actually reduce on the opportunistic theft and graft that happens.
Thank you so much. Afande, I know you don't have much time with us here because you're going somewhere else, and tomorrow is also another busy day for you. But there is this complaint that has actually been going on. Yes, you came into place and people are very excited, everything that you have done so far. But there is one thing that keeps coming out, that you've not yet touched, the big fish. That is that probably they have even brought this thing to you.
We keep hearing in public.
What can you say about that, Afande?
I really wouldn't say that there is a tomorrow thief. Whether you have stolen a needle from someone who was using it to put his cross together, you are a thief. But I also have all the courage to say that we have sincerely touched the big fish. We have 5 people at permanent secretary level.
Oh, yes.
The managing director, Post Bank Uganda, with his 4 or 5 directors, the top management of Post Bank Uganda, we took them to court. The secretary, Human Rights Commission, the secretary, Equal Opportunities Commission, the CEO, Gaming and Rotaries, we have the managing directors, or 2 of them from the labor externalization registered companies. We have really touched. That's the highest level of accounting officers in public service. We have touched 13 heads of districts, the accounting officers at district level, the CAOs, the town clerks, some mayors. So to me, we have reached a level that is top in public service. The problem remains that the big fish we hear about, nobody has reported any. Let people report the big fish they know with evidence. We shall surely touch them. No one has been reported to be too big to be touched. We will touch everyone that is reported to be involved in the act of corruption, because we have the power, we have with the agencies that are fully mandated. In case they say the soldier cannot touch us because we are above, then the institutions are there to touch. let them report, we will touch.
And that is, Afande, thank you so much for that, because whoever is watching right now, I think you've got your assurance that even those that haven't been touched, and you just need to report.
Yes.
Just need to report to the State House Anti-Corruption Unit that is headed by Lieutenant Colonel Edith Nakalem, and then you will get to see the results. So I think that you've ably answered that, Afande. Of course, the partnership between...
the partnership is what helps us, and the public's trust, because the public has really reported all that they are sure about, and we have responded quickly, because indeed we are a quick response unit, responding to the public outcry. That's why we are always in public with other agencies, and we have been able to move together. And we are continuing to move together, because this work is about involving every Ugandan, well-intentioned ones.
That's very good. Probably you have something to add.
And that issue is actually important. You see, this country has a lot of rumors. You say this thing is for so and so, this is for so and so, and they actually dominate the
social media.
Social media, yes, and the informal networks, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, and we really need to speak to the citizen of Uganda.
Yes.
It could be true that some officers or individuals are fronts of others, but we are appealing to the Ugandan. If somebody is asking you to front for them in commission of a crime, please say no. And this is why this work is actually important. It's about the role of the citizen. That this fight against corruption actually starts with all of us. If we've had so many, we've been investigating a big case in the local government, in the Ministry of Local Government, and a few others. And junior people are saying, you know, I took, somebody put 50 million shillings, deposited 50 million shillings on my account, and I'm an officer attendant. But the person told me, I've deposited it there by mistake. Can you bring it back? So the attendant goes to the bank and withdraws the 50 million and says, and the person says, yeah, keep 5. And the attendant is very happy. He says, oh, you're giving me a gift of 5 million shillings? It takes me 2 years to earn
that.
Yeah. Then he says, I have done my bit, because money was deposited in my account and I've returned it. Now we are saying, please say no. If a person has deposited money on your account and you are a junior person, do not bear the cross for them. Put it in writing, alert the person higher, say, this payment has been made to my account. I'm informed that it is not, shouldn't be there. I'm now refunding it to you, the permanent secretary. And put it in writing. Please, let's not accept to be fronts for others, because this rumor is going to go on for a long time. If we do not, the citizen doesn't get to say, no, I will not participate. I will not play ball with you. I will not be your front. Because if people continue to be fronts and they live in hiding and so on, it actually makes our fight against graft more difficult. Because for us, we follow documents. If you are, somebody owns a company and is paid, this company has, the director of this company is so and so, and you put false names. But a third party, invisible, is injecting in all the money. And then you're doing all this big business. But when people go to the registration, to the URSB, the names that appear are your names. But you know that the capital and the benefits is all going to somebody else. The day that company commits a crime, it is you who is on record that will be taken to task. So that's why we are saying, citizens, let us all resolve not to be fronts. Let us all say no to corruption. You'd rather suffer poverty, you'd rather suffer scarcity, but when you have the peace, instead of living with this big burden of being a front. And we've had cases where they say, actually this corruption can result in murder. You know, if you're keeping my secret and something is about to go wrong and my freedom is all in your hands, what will the big person, the abanene, because we hear that word, abanene, for abantu bawansi. So you, mutu wawansi, if you are the one holding the munene's secret, what will happen when he fears that you is about to be
you risk death?
Absolutely. So secrecy results into corruption. Corruption graduates into murder. And then they say, mysterious man. We don't know who killed him. So we are telling the citizens.
Yes.
And tomorrow, when we walk,
Yes.
we are telling citizens, please participate
Yes,
in
yes.
this exercise and understand
Join the
that the fight against corruption begins with
me.
Me.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think you wanted to say something there also to contribute to that.
Just to conclude and say that the work is about a call. It is a call. It is a public pronunciation. It is a declaration to denounce corruption. As good-willed citizens, as well-intentioned Ugandans, we are calling upon all of you to come and join His Excellency the President with his cabinet, with the judiciary, with the members of parliament, with all your church leaders and mosques and everyone and the cultural leaders. Come, let us join the fight. Let us denounce corruption. Let us declare a corrupt-free Uganda. It starts with me. It starts with you.
Thank you so
very
much.
much for this opportunity.
Afan, I can't keep you here anymore. Thank you so much. Viewer, this has been Lieutenant Colonel Edith Nakalema, who is the head of the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, and we've been talking about tomorrow's anti-corruption walk that will be, of course, the chief guest and chief walker there will be His Excellency President Paul Kagame. I'm sorry about that. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And also in the studio I've been with the Deputy Inspector General of Government, that is Mr. George Bamgemerere. Thank you so much for having been part of this show, and we believe that everybody will be there tomorrow to join you.
Yes.
And thank you so much for having accepted to come and talk to the nation.
It's been a joy, and people have confirmed their attendance in big numbers. Join us all.
Thank you so much,
We are
Afandi.
happy to have all of you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for giving us the time.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay.
Celebrating 1 year of fighting corruption, the President will be joined by the Right Honorable Speaker, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, other government officials, traditional and civil society leaders. Themed A Corruption-Free Uganda. It starts with me. The walk will start at 8 a.m. from the Constitutional Square to Kololo Airstrip. The Chief Walker, His Excellency General